Some people go their whole lives thinking the universe is silent, that nothing's really happening, that synchronicities are just coincidences. But what if I told you the universe was never silent? It's you who's been hitting the mute button without even realizing it. That's right. You might be asking for answers every day, manifesting with intention, repeating powerful affirmations, and still sabotaging everything when it's time to receive. And the worst part? You don't even know you're doing it. Because spiritual self-sabotage doesn't come with sirens, alarms, or flashing red lights. It hides in the most innocent habits, in the thoughts you repeat without questioning, in the patterns you've come to normalize. And here's the wild part. The more you insist on doing things your way, the louder the universe has to get. At first, it shows up as light coincidences, then as discomfort, and eventually as chaos. And guess what? You call it bad luck. But it's not bad luck. It's the universe trying to shout what you still refuse to hear. And if you keep trying to manifest the same way, you'll keep getting the same responses, only more confusing, more frustrating, more painful. But take a breath. In this video, you're going to understand exactly what's been blocking you and what you need to do to unlock it. Because once you learn how to stop sabotaging synchronicities, nothing stays the same. Some people spend their whole lives asking the universe for answers, but when the signs finally show up, they simply ignore them. And it's not out of malice or lack of attention, it's because they were taught to doubt anything they can't measure, weigh, or prove with scientific precision. But synchronicities don't operate on Cartesian logic. They appear as unlikely encounters, repeating messages, or that phrase you hear 3 times in one day. And the most fascinating part, Carl Jung called this meaningful coincidence. And let's be clear, he wasn't some incense-burning mystic. He was one of the greatest psychiatrists of the last century. The problem is, most people are so busy trying to control life that they barely notice when the universe is trying to speak. The self-sabotage happens in the smallest habits. When you feel a hunch and dismiss it as just your imagination. When you have the same dream more than once and ignore it. When an opportunity shows up in a strange way and you rationalize it until it's gone. And all of this comes at a cost. Because every time you treat a sign from the universe as noise, you train your brain to disconnect from intuition. And believe me, a mind disconnected from intuition is like a GPS turned off in the middle of the road. It's like the universe is trying to deliver an important package, but you're never home. And the spiritual mailman, well, he's persistent, but eventually he stops knocking. That's why it's so important to recognize these subtle patterns. And that only happens when you start being truly present. That's right. Getting out of autopilot, noticing the strange coincidences, starting to write down what keeps repeating. Have you ever thought of keeping a journal just for that? Small, simple, but powerful. Because once you start recording the signs, you begin to build a bridge of awareness. And that's when everything starts to shift. Sabotaging synchronicities isn't something you do consciously. It's more like a thought addiction. And it disguises itself as rationality, logic, or being grounded. The first sabotaging behavior is this: rationalizing anything that doesn't have an immediate explanation. Someone sees 11:11 or has the same dream 3 nights in a row and immediately runs to Google, thinking they'll find an objective answer. But signs from the universe don't come with subtitles. They ask for interpretation, sensitivity, and inner connection. And the more you try to squeeze everything into a logical formula, the more you disconnect from the language of the soul. The second behavior is living on autopilot. You wake up, drink the same coffee, get stuck in traffic, listen to the same music, come home exhausted, and there it is, another day gone. But the universe's signs don't show up in high definition in a life lived without presence. They're subtle, light, almost whispers. When someone is stuck in routine without paying attention to how they feel, without reflecting on what they're repeating, without pausing to breathe and listen to themselves, they literally shut down their vibrational eyes. It's like trying to hear background music with your phone on silent, and then wondering why nothing ever happens. The third sabotaging behavior is the need to control. A lot of people manifest constantly, repeat affirmations, make vision boards. But deep down, they want to decide exactly how, when, and with whom things will happen. That's not manifestation. That's spiritual micromanagement. When you try to control the flow, you block the flow. The universe has its own intelligence, and signs don't follow your timeline. A great exercise to release that control is to write down your desires, then tear up the paper and say, "I trust divine timing." It might sound silly, but it brings relief. And more importantly, it makes room for what's already trying to come through. Most people don't realize they're stuck in a spiritual loop because this cycle doesn't scream, it whispers. It starts with a recurring thought. Nothing ever works out for me. Then comes the chronic feeling of not being enough. And when a synchronicity finally shows up, a door, a person, an idea, your vibration is so out of alignment that the opportunity just doesn't fit. And the cycle repeats. Thoughts generate emotions, which create patterns which manifest realities. Carl Jung once said, "What you don't bring into consciousness appears in your life as fate." In other words, what you don't clear internally keeps repeating externally. The curious thing is that this spiritual loop has a kind of emotional domino effect. One day of doubt turns into a week of low vibration. A week of low vibration attracts frustrating situations, and then comes the sabotaging thought, "See, I knew it wouldn't work out." And just like that, another round on the invisible carousel. It's like trying to swim against the current without realizing you've got an anchor tied to your ankle. But that anchor isn't outside of you. It's inside. In the way you think, feel, and react. And the only way to break the loop is to notice that it exists. Want a practical example of how this plays out? You decide it's time to change your life, start saying positive affirmations, but deep down you still feel like you don't deserve it. So the universe sends you signs, but they bounce off your vibration and go right back. It's like you've got an invisible sign that says, "I'm not ready yet." This misalignment between what you want and what you're vibrating is one of the biggest causes of spiritual looping. But there is a way out, and it doesn't start out there. It starts in your inner vibrational field. That's what needs a reset before any new manifestation can take shape. The first key to stop sabotaging synchronicities is understanding that manifestation isn't about forcing, it's about flowing. Most people think they need to push the universe to fulfill their desires, when in reality, they just need to stop getting in the way. How? By starting with practices that reprogram your vibration. Conscious breathing, for example, is totally underestimated. But when you breathe deeply for 5 minutes in silence, you're literally resetting your vibrational field. It's simple, it's free, and it works. But hardly anyone does it because they think it's too silly to make a difference. Another powerful practice is intuitive writing. Grab a pen and paper, no phone, no distractions, and write, "What do I need to hear today?" Let your hand write without a filter. This technique, even used by transpersonal therapists, helps decode the signs the universe is already trying to send your way. Another tip? Visualization with emotion. It's not enough to just see what you want to manifest. You have to feel as if you're already living it. Put on some instrumental music, close your eyes for 10 minutes, and imagine the scene, the smells, the voices, the details. This isn't pretend. It's vibrational alignment. And if you want to take a real leap, practice active gratitude. It's not just about feeling grateful in your head. It's about writing down 3 things that went right every day and saying thank you out loud. It might seem small, but this exercise changes your electromagnetic field. Gratitude isn't a reward, it's a tuner. It's what shifts your frequency so you can start seeing what was already there, but you weren't noticing. Synchronicities don't show up when you ask, they show up when you vibrate. And the more you practice these tools, the more the universe recognizes you're ready to receive. The question is, are you really ready? When someone finally stops sabotaging the signs from the universe, everything changes. But not in the way they imagine. It's not that everything suddenly gets resolved like magic. The real shift begins with perception. You start noticing patterns, coincidences that used to slip right past you. A sentence someone says on the bus becomes an answer. A message on a billboard becomes confirmation. A repeating number becomes a compass. The world doesn't change. You change. And by changing, you begin to see that the signs were always there. You just had your radar turned off. And you don't need big dramatic events to prove this. Sometimes it's a decision that suddenly feels crystal clear, an intuition that helps you turn down the wrong offer, a strange sense of peace that shows up in the middle of chaos. All of that is manifestation in motion, happening quietly, simply because you chose to stop sabotaging yourself vibrationally. People who are stuck in endless cycles begin to break free. Relationships shift, opportunities appear. Not because the world suddenly got kinder, but because your vibration finally allows the natural flow of synchronicities to move through you. Carl Jung would call this the alignment between the unconscious and external reality. So here's a question for you. What synchronicity did you ignore and regret later? What sign did the universe send you, more than once, that you brushed off as just your imagination? Believe me, the universe isn't going to stop speaking. But how much longer will it take for you to truly start listening? When you share these stories, something powerful gets activated. You inspire, you confirm, you awaken. So drop a comment below. Because sometimes, your experience is exactly the sign someone else needs to break free from their own spiritual loop. Now tell me, after everything you've heard here, are you really going to keep trying to manifest things your way? Are you going to keep ignoring the signs from the universe as if they're just random coincidences? Or will you, finally, pause, breathe, and start truly listening to what the universe has been trying to show you all along? Because the truth is simple. As long as you treat synchronicities like background noise, you'll keep getting answers you don't understand. You'll stay stuck in the same cycles. You'll keep feeling like nothing ever changes, even though you're trying everything. But from this moment on, you can't say you didn't know. Now you know there's a vibrational field in motion at all times. You know Carl Jung said that what you don't bring to consciousness comes back as fate. You know there's a dialogue happening between you and the universe, and that this dialogue depends on your ability to listen. So tell me in the comments, what sign did you notice more clearly after watching this video? What pattern did you recognize as self-sabotage? What practice are you going to start today to break the cycle? Write it down, share it, because when you speak, you activate. And hey, if this video sparked something inside you, don't let that energy fade. Click the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join a community that's learning how to truly listen to the universe. Because awakening begins with a single click. And sometimes that click changes everything.